This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM.
Good morning. At the start of the new legal year, the Anglican bishop questioning the sentencing disparity between poor blacks and well-connected whites and well-connected blacks. Meanwhile, the Attorney General pushing back against the bishop's comments, saying that more legal reform is coming and strides made in clearing the judgment backlog. Plus major pushback in the Family Islands as the government seeks to demolish more shanty towns. It's all straight ahead. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be joining us. Also this morning, we'll get a preview of Step Into Wellness. We'll tell you what that's all about. And later in business, we are talking about some of the latest research from the University of the Bahamas on childhood corporal punishment and the impact that has on college students. And a whole lot more. That's all ahead on this busy Thursday. But first, it's time for The Overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning.
wake up, wake up.
In the overnight, Anglican Bishop Reverend Leish Boyd had harsh words for members of the legal community, calling on them to dispense justice fairly as he questioned what he sees as a disparity in punishment doled out to the poor black man compared to white or well-connected black people. Boyd's admonishment coming as he delivered a sermon at Christ Church Cathedral in New Providence as a service commemorating the start of the 2026 legal year. The bishop saying, quote, "I ask you to mete out justice fairly. Let me tell you what I mean. How is it that a poor black man commits the same crime as a white person or a rich or well-connected black man, and the two of them get different treatment and they get a different sentence?" Boyd said he was willing to talk further about the topics after the service, adding that he just wanted to bring it to the attention of the lawmakers. Meanwhile, Attorney General Ryan Pinder pushing back against criticism from the Anglican bishop, saying on the sidelines of the opening of the legal year, quote, "I think that making a blanket statement like that doesn't take into account the facts and circumstances that are in each and every single matter that we look at. I know with one of the vessels that we seize on illegal charters in the country, we couldn't seize the vessel because the bank already had a lien on it. So you look at that and say, oh, you seized the Bahamian vessel, but you didn't seize the foreigner's vessel? Well, there are other complications in those types of matters, giving more examples like that. Well, the Attorney General says that the Davis administration will continue its progressive agenda on legislative and legal reform with planned updates to the penal code and the introduction of a conditional release of offenders or a parole bill expected this year. At that ceremony marking the beginning of the legal year, Pinder said the country's penal code is an old piece of legislation, which, although it's been amended over the years, needs to be overhauled. The proposed conditional release of offenders bill, or the parole bill, is intended to help rehabilitate and reintegrate offenders into society as law-abiding people. Pinder says rehabilitating incarcerated people for reintegration into society is an important part of the criminal justice reform process. And Chief Justice Sir Ian Winder defending members of the legal fraternity against criticism, pushing back at suggestions that there is a culture of complacency within its ranks. Sir Ian said stakeholders in the legal system, specifically judges hearing criminal cases, are aware of the weight of their roles and the impact of case delays. He said, quote, contrary to the views expressed by some and repeated by others, I'm satisfied that all stakeholders in the criminal justice system, especially the dedicated judges in the criminal division, are acutely aware of the enormity of their duty under the Constitution and the effect that delays have in the adjudication of criminal disputes. To suggest that there is a culture of complacency is unfortunate and reflects a lack of awareness of the challenges facing the overburdened system, or simply ignores the strident efforts being made to address them. Sir Ian also said his experience dealing with the members of the newly formed Criminal Justice Board over the past 6 months has given him confidence that there is recognition of the urgency of the moment and that a zeal to meet these systemic challenges for the benefit of the others of accused. The Chief Justice acknowledged the issue of delayed judgments and said work continues to address the backlog of judgments. From the House, as he opened debate on the resolution to give effect to a recently tabled boundaries report, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper said the government does not view the exercise as a game or a political plaything, and he's assuring that the decision to add 2 new constituencies and reconfigure other existing ones was evidence-based. The boundaries report was passed in Parliament shortly before 8 p.m. last night. The U.S. State Department announcing yesterday that it froze immigration visa processing for 75 countries, including the Bahamas. The move, though, does not impact non-immigrant visa applications. Non-immigrant visas include tourist visas and student visas. U.S. President Donald Trump, according to the State Department, has made it clear that immigrants must be financially self-sufficient and not be a financial burden to Americans, and said that the State Department was undergoing a full review of all policies, regulations, and guidance to ensure that immigrants from those countries do not utilize welfare in the United States or become a public charge. Again, this does not include student and tourist visas. The full list of the countries, the 75 countries, including the Bahamas, in today's Nassau Guardian. Overseas, troops from several European countries, including France, Germany, Norway, and Sweden, are arriving in Greenland to help boost the Arctic island security after talks between representatives of Denmark, Greenland, and the U.S. highlighted fundamental disagreement between the Trump administration and European allies. French President Emmanuel Macron announcing Wednesday that the first French military elements are already en route and others will follow. This, as French authorities say, about 15 French soldiers from the mountain infantry were already in the Greenland capital for military exercise. Germany will deploy a reconnaissance team of 13 personnel to Greenland on Thursday today. And Denmark announced it would increase its military presence on the island, with NATO allies joining them, just as the Danish and Greenlandic foreign ministers meet with White House representatives, or met with them yesterday in Washington to discuss the president's intention to take over the island in order to tap its mineral resources and protect the security of the Arctic region amid rising Russian and Chinese interest. On Thursday, the Danish defense minister said the intention was to establish a more permanent military presence with a larger Danish contribution. And the Danish foreign minister, flanked by his Greenlandic counterpart, said Wednesday that a, quote, fundamental disagreement over Greenland remains with Trump after they held highly anticipated talks at the White House with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Trump says he had not yet been briefed about the contents of the White House meeting when he made his remarks, but he said about Greenland, quote, we really need it. If we don't go in, Russia is going to go in and China is going to go in, and there's not a thing Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it. The nationwide protest challenging Iran's theocracy appeared increasingly smothered today, a week on from authorities shutting the country off from the world and escalating a bloody crackdown that activists say killed at least 2,615 people. In Iran's capital, Tehran, witnesses say recent mornings saw no new signs of bonfires lit the night before or debris in the streets. The sound of gunfire, which has been intense for several nights, has faded. Meanwhile, Iranian state media announcing wave after wave of arrests by authorities targeting those it calls terrorists, and also apparently looking for Starlink satellite internet dishes, the only way to get videos and images out to the internet. The Justice Minister, according to a report Wednesday from the Judiciary Mizan news agency, said, quote, "Since January 8th, we saw a full-fledged war, and anybody who was in the gathering since then is a criminal." But as Iran tries to assert control at home, it faces challenges abroad. The Islamic Republic shut down its airspace for hours early Thursday morning without explanation, something it's done in previous rounds of attacks between it and Israel, as well as during the 12-day war in June. The U.S. also took steps to move some personnel from Qatar's Al Udeid air base, while also warning diplomats in Kuwait to stay away from military bases with American troops stationed there. And Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, says that her government will continue to release prisoners detained under former President Nicolas Maduro's rule in what she described as a new political moment since his ouster by the United States earlier this month. It appeared to be an understatement for the Maduro loyalist now tasked with placating an unpredictable American president who said he will run Venezuela, while also consolidating power in a government that has long seethed against U.S. meddling. Rodriguez opened her first press briefing since Maduro's capture by U.S. forces, addressing journalists from a red carpet at the presidential palace in the capital, Caracas, offering assurances that the process of releasing detainees has not yet concluded. Rodriguez pitched a Venezuela that, quote, opens itself to a new political moment that allows for political and ideological diversity. A Venezuelan human rights organization estimates about 800 political prisoners are still being detained. That figure includes political leaders, soldiers, lawyers, and members of civil society. And Spanish prosecutors are studying allegations that Grammy-winning singer Julio Iglesias sexually assaulted two former employees at his residences in the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. The Spanish prosecutor's office telling the Associated Press Wednesday that the allegations were related to media reports from earlier this week that alleged that Iglesias had sexually and physically assaulted two women who worked in his Caribbean residences between January and October 2021. Iglesias has yet to speak publicly regarding the allegations. A Miami-based entertainment lawyer, Russell L. King, who lists Iglesias as a client on his website, didn't immediately respond to requests for comment from the Associated Press. The Spanish prosecutor's office that handles cases for Spain's national court said that it had received formal allegations against Iglesias by an unnamed party on January 5th. Iglesias could potentially be taken in front of the Madrid-based court, which can try alleged crimes by Spanish citizens while they are abroad, according to the court's press office. Meanwhile, Women's Link Worldwide, a non-governmental organization, saying in a statement that it was representing the two women who had presented the complaint to the Spanish court. The group said that the women were accusing Iglesias of crimes against sexual freedom and indemnity, such as sexual harassment, and of human trafficking for the purpose of forced labor and servitude. The organization said the women in their testimony also accused Iglesias of regularly checking their cell phones, of prohibiting them from leaving the house where they worked, and demanding that they work up to 16 hours a day with no contract or days off. The organization said it did not reach out to authorities in the Bahamas or the Dominican Republic. and that it didn't know whether authorities in those countries had initiated an investigation. In sports, American professional golfer Taylor Dixon opening the 2026 Korn Ferry Tour season with a 3-stroke victory at the Bahamas Golf Classic. Wrapped up at Wednesday at Atlantis Resort's Ocean Club Golf Course on Paradise Island. After 4 rounds of golf, Dixon claimed title honors with a total of 261, 27 under par. He shot a 65 or 7 under par on the final day to pull off a clear 3-stroke win against his golf counterparts. Read more about that in today's Guardian Sports section. Famed collegiate basketball player Donnie Freeman quietly having a breakout season for the Syracuse University Orange during the 25-26 NCAA Division I men's basketball season. Freeman, a sophomore, and the Orange continuing their winning ways against Florida State University, beating the Seminoles 94-86 Tuesday, right there in Syracuse. Following the team's 3rd straight victory, the Orange improved to 12-5. Their win-loss record 3-1 in Atlantic Coast Conference. Famed senior men's national basketball team player Freeman was electric for Syracuse on Tuesday, recording a game-high 25 points, pulling down 8 rebounds, picking up 3 steals, and dishing out 2 assists in 34 minutes of playing time. And from the NFL, John Harbaugh interviewed in person with the New York Giants for their head coaching vacancy. According to a person familiar with the situation speaking to the Associated Press, Harbaugh was at the team facility in East Rutherford, New Jersey for most of the day Wednesday, according to that source, speaking on condition of anonymity because the team was not announcing its interviews. The Super Bowl winning former Baltimore Ravens coach is believed to be the Giants' top candidate, but they are far from the only NFL club interested in his services. Harbaugh has also spoken to the Atlanta Falcons, who recently hired retired quarterback Matt Ryan as their president of football. Meanwhile, Giants general manager saying that he would cast a wide net for the full-time replacement of Brian Daboll, who was fired November 10th, with the team off to a 2-8 start this season. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for a first look at weather. Your first look at weather, brought to you by Star General. We've got a wind advisory and a gale warning in effect for the northern half of the country today. Winds and gusts are expected to reach at least 35 knots or 40 miles per hour, beginning this morning heading into the evening hours. We've got an extremely powerful cold front along with its prefrontal trough that's going to march across the northern islands beginning today and throughout the day today. The front's going to act to support showers, thunderstorms, and extremely strong gusty winds as it moves into the central Bahamas by tonight. High pressure will dominate briefly across the remainder of the country as the surface ridge retreats through tonight. We've got quite a bit of activity coming over the next few days, so we're going to tell you all about that. But for today, look for wind hazards, rip currents, and coastal threats. We've got residents in the northern half of the country, as well as those in the northern Exuma Keys, encouraged to secure loose objects around their properties, and you should exercise extreme caution while driving due to hazardous wind speeds. With the rip, there's a high risk of dangerous rip currents, extremely rough surf, and choppy seas affecting all areas of the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas, beachgoers and swimmers should stay out of the water until conditions improve. For the southeastern islands, beachgoers and swimmers are urged to remain near shore. And there is a moderate risk of minor beach erosion, mainly affecting southern and western shorelines of the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas today. Motorists and pedestrians are advised to exercise extreme caution while along coastal roads in those areas, as overtopping waves, coastal flooding, and sea spray are possible. So your forecast on this busy weather Thursday. For the extreme northern islands, including Grand Bahama, cloudy today, turning mostly fair by late tonight. You've got a 30 to 50% chance of showers with possible thunderstorms. By this evening, things should begin to improve, with rain chances falling to about 10 to 20%. For the rest of the northwest Bahamas, including New Providence, cloudy to overcast, turning partly cloudy tonight. A 40 to 60% chance of showers with thunderstorms. Expect that to fall off to about 10 to 20% chance by tonight. For the central and southeastern islands, partly sunny today, becoming partly cloudy tonight for the central islands. Mostly sunny today, turning mostly fair tonight for the southeastern islands. Only about a 10% chance of showers today, but increasing to 20 to 40% chance by tonight. Winds for the northern islands, southwest to west at 15 knots at first, rapidly increasing to 25 to 30 knots with gusts to gale force by late morning. Expect winds to veer northwest to north at 20 to 30 knots with gale conditions persisting as that front passes by this evening, with winds steadily decreasing beginning late tonight. Similar story for the rest of the northwest Bahamas, southwest to west at 10 to 15 knots at first, but increasing to 20 to 25 knots with gusts to gale force by this afternoon. Winds will veer west to northwest at 20 to 25 knots with gale conditions persisting as that front passes later tonight. Winds will steadily decrease beginning late tonight. For the central islands, south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots, veering southwest to west at 15 to 25 knots with higher gusts by this afternoon. Winds will shift northwesterly at 20 to 25 knots with gusts to gale force, mainly in the northern Exuma Keys by late tonight. And then southeast to south at 10 to 15 knots for the southeastern islands, veering southwest to west at 10 to 15 knots by this afternoon. Expect winds to fall light and variable by tonight. High temperatures today for the northern half of the country. Look for highs in the 70s today, mid to upper 70s, around 24 to 26 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to the mid to upper 60s, up to about 20 Celsius. A bit warmer for the central and southeast Bahamas, highs around 84 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to the low to mid 70s, around 24, 25 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. A lot going on. We've got more with your extended outlook, a lot more happening. We'll tell you about that in just a bit. This weather check brought to you by Star General Insurance Made Simple.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end?
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
It's a new day.
At Cleveland Clinic, care is everything. So when your primary purpose is to care for the world, you'd start with your community until you're accessible anywhere. You make complexities your specialties and put compassion before anything else, all to redefine what's possible. For everyone, everywhere, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic.
For fast fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, but with CFAL, it doesn't have to be. We offer tailor-made individual, group, and pension solutions that take the guesswork out of retirement planning. Whether it's for you or your company, don't leave your future to chance and let the trusted hands of CFAL's experts guide you toward peace of mind and financial stability. Low upfront costs and affordable monthly payments make it easy for you to build wealth so you can live well. Visit us at cfal.com to start on your path toward financial freedom. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Looking to elevate your gadget game, or are tech troubles simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows, or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Cades Village, or call 396-1100.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
No one likes a fender bender.
Oh, man.
From a little scratch to a full mashup, NUA Insurance has got you covered with auto insurance tailored to fit your needs and budget. For affordable rates with free on-site accident assistance, visit us online or in branch and just ask us. NUA Insurance. Ask us, because we've got you covered.
'Tis the season for dreams to come true. There's Santa for the kids and CIBC Caribbean for you. Whether it's a house, land, vehicle, or upgrading your home, CIBC Caribbean can support your dreams with the financing you need. Enjoy incredible cashback deals with mortgages and land loans. Plus, your approved loan gives you a chance to win up to US $5,000. Apply now at www.cibccaribbean.com/sweeten the season. Terms and conditions apply.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Now we're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also in your chins on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or .com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line, powered by BTC, 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Laverne Gardner. Laverne, good morning.
Good morning, Dwight, and good morning to our listeners.
Always a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. We've got a lot to get to this morning, a lot going on. We're also going to be talking about Step Into Wellness, our dear friend and co-host. Duquesa Dean's going to be with us this morning to tell us about that. Later in business, we're talking with the University of the Bahamas. They revealed the findings of some research they did late last year. We're going to get to talk to them about that now, primarily about the study they did on corporal punishment, childhood corporal punishment, and the effects it has on college students, including on sensitivity and creativity. Could there be a connection? Could there be an impact? Could there be a link? We're going to get into that with them this morning. That's all ahead. But right now, let's talk about the many things in the news. And in the news, the big headlines, the opening of the legal year yesterday, very, very interesting comments from Anglican Bishop Leish Boyd. The big headline, the Nassau Guardian says, disgraceful. Bishop Boyd questions sentencing disparity between poor and well-connected whites and blacks. Wow. We're going to get to that in just a moment. The Attorney General's pushing back against that. And Chief Justice Serene Winder has some comments. I feel like some of them are directed towards us. But that's maybe just an ego thing. But when you hear what he talked about, you'll say, maybe he is talking about the media and the criticism that you'll hear often on some of the judgments and the court cases that we read about every day. But anyway, we're going to get to all of that in just a bit. Really quickly, there's a couple other stories I want to get to before we get into that. So this created a bit of a panic yesterday for a few minutes until people read a little bit deeper and figured out this might not apply exactly to what we're thinking here. But word came yesterday the U.S. was freezing immigrant visa processing from 75 countries, including the Bahamas, right? The key word here, though, is immigrant visa. The ones that most of us deal with here are non-immigrant visas. That's temporary, right? That's student, tourist, and sometimes business and stuff, right? So that's different. This is for people who want to move to the U.S.
To the U.S., who want to live and work in the U.S.
Exactly. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this story that's in the Nassau Guardian today. So the U.S. State Department announced yesterday that it froze immigration visa processing from 75 countries, including the Bahamas. The move, however, does not impact non-immigrant visa applications, which include student and tourist visas. So the State Department said, quote, President Donald Trump has made it clear that immigrants must be financially self-sufficient and not be a financial burden to Americans. The Department of State is undergoing a full review of all policies, regulations, and guidance to ensure that immigrants from these high-risk countries do not utilize welfare in the United States or become a public charge. Right? The Ministry of Foreign Affairs yesterday said it sought clarification on the policy, and it even saying, quote, the Foreign Ministry has taken note of a statement by the United States Embassy about immigrant visa entry into the United States. The ministry sought clarification on the matter and is informed that the suspension will not apply to applicants seeking non-immigrant visas or temporary student or business visas. Further, the arrangement between the Bahamas and the United States for travel via police record remains in place. Bahamians should take note that the United States is not our country, in case you didn't know, is not our country. And just as we set the rules for entry in the Bahamas, they set rules for theirs. In the past, we've worked with the United States on multiple issues, and the results have always been fair and rational. We expect that this will be no different going forward. Okay. All right. Interesting stuff there. And again, a non-immigrant visa is different from an immigrant visa.
Non-immigrant visas. I was looking, Dwight, and maybe I just didn't read long enough. Did we get a list of the 75 countries?
Yes, that is in the article in the Nassau Guardian today. You don't want me to read that, do you? 75. You want to read it
No,
all?
no, no,
75?
no. I'm gonna read it
Okay.
because, of course, I want to see which all countries.
Well, you will notice a lot of similarities with these countries, but I don't. But that's just me. I have issues, as many of you have realized. But anyway,
No, no. What does that mean?
but you
What does that
pick up
mean?
today's NASA Guardian or go on
What-
thenasaguardian.com and read the list of the 75 countries, and you tell me.
My mind is going a certain way
Well,
anyway.
you go.
That's
I'm
why,
sure it's the right way.
That is why I asked.
Yes. Well, but anyway, they are their country and they do what's in the best interest of their people, as should all countries. So, but again, not non-immigrant visas. So that the panic that set in for a little bit yesterday was a little unwarranted. But I'm sure a lot of people.
Yeah.
Who might want an immigrant visa are a little disappointed, but it seems like this is a temporary pause as they regroup. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And I for me, I think the biggest part was, of course, because immediately there was, like you said, people who didn't understand. They only saw visa, didn't understand the difference between immigrant, non-immigrant visa. And so you have people who are explaining and saying, hey, no, this is for immigrant visas if you want to. I'm always amazed how there's a panic, right, with partial information. And then you have reasonable people who will come in and clarify. And in the face of reason, sometimes people will still choose to panic.
Oh, always. It
Right?
seems, always.
So it's broken down. Hey, this is the category of visas that we have. This is this, and very clear. No, just very clear, very logical, where you can read and walk away and be like, okay, and here I'm showing you this is, and you will still have no but.
Right.
And I'm like, do we just want to be in a panic?
Yes. Plenty of people love to be in a state of panic and to be agitated and worked up. It makes them feel alive, and that feeling pain is better than feeling nothing. So clearly, that is how the world works today.
Honestly, and so, no, but okay, yeah, all right, I understand what you're saying, but that means.
Or they actually say they understand? I don't know if I get
Yeah, they
that
will
usually.
say, I understand what you're saying.
I
but
hear
that
you.
means
I
that
think
we
they say
could be
I hear
next.
you.
Yeah,
I hear you, but.
That's true. Yeah, but that could be next. The non-immigrant visa could be next. You never know.
And the whole planet could explode.
You're right.
Or,
You're right.
anything
You're
could come
absolutely
next. Yes.
But we're speaking to this thing right now.
Right.
And if it became non-immigrant visa, what could you do?
Oh, boy. Well, let's hope we don't have to cross that bridge. That's interesting use of words there, too. Cross that bridge. All right, so here's a text. This is not related to anything we're talking about, but this is an interesting text.
Okay.
Interesting text. Is it possible for the Met Department to directly name which islands are affected in these advisories instead of North or Northern? They do. It's just a lot of islands, but we're hoping that you did some geography in school and that you know what we mean. But in case you don't, but I can't say this every day. So, but when we say Northern, it's the most extreme islands in the north, right? So Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Bimini. That's what they generally mean. And when I say the rest of the Northwest Bahamas, it's New Providence, Andros, the Berry Islands, Eleuthera, and their adjacent waters and keys. Yeah? Central Bahamas, Exuma, Cat Island, Long Island, San Salvador, Rum Key. And the Southeast Bahamas, Inagua, Acklands, Crooked Island, Mayaguana, Racket Island. Yeah? Got it? And then they issued this map a few years ago, and it was showing everybody. I'll post it again today. But that's very helpful as well. But if you know the map, I hope you'll get it. But Providence is in the Northwest Bahamas. Keep that in mind. And then that pretty much will give you an idea of where everybody else is. Okay. Was that helpful, Laverne?
Yeah, very.
Okay. All right, here's another story. So the House approves the boundaries report. That happened. So that's set in stone now. These are the boundaries we're going to be dealing with for the next 5 years. This is some interesting information in the Tribune. Depute Karen bows of PLP Mike bid. Robert Depute Karen has withdrawn his application for the Progressive Party's nomination for the Mayaguana, Inagua, Crooked Island, Acklands, and Long Key constituent Mike Cal, citing concerns about a potential conflict of interest with the company he founded, the Bahamas Aviation, Climate, and Severe Weather Network. In a letter addressed to PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, Depute Karen said the decision followed long and careful consideration with his family, friends, and advisors. But that, quote, after a long and careful consideration with my family, friends, and trusted advisors, I have come to the inescapable conclusion that it would be best if I were to withdraw my application seeking the party's nomination for the Maycal constituency in the upcoming general election. He stressed that the decision did not diminish his commitment to the constituency, but was down to his role in, I think they call this, is it Bashran? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. Which entered into a $400 million heads of agreement with the government of the Bahamas last year. On signing the agreement, Prime Minister Philip Davis said the partnership would strengthen the national resilience through the establishment of what is described as the country's first next-gen meteorological watch office. All right, so conflict of interest, potential conflict of interest. I hope that Robert Karen would help to explain conflicts of interest to some of the other candidates and other people who are actually MPs right now, because they don't seem to understand or respect or care. Some of them, the ones who do, because there seems to be a challenge with understanding what a conflict of interest is in the country. And it would be great if he could use his knowledge to spread the word on, that might be a conflict. Yes, I think that would be, especially when you compare it to mine. That definitely is a conflict. How do you not see that? What is wrong with you? So continue the good work and teach your colleagues about these things. No? Yeah, okay. Did you hear the thing we read in the overnight with Julio Iglesias?
No.
Julio Iglesias, some women are accusing him of sexual assault and harassment at his homes in the Caribbean, 2 countries. I'll give you 2 guesses. One is Dominican Republic. What do you think the second country is where this assault? You better believe it. So a human rights group is working with the women to, this would happen in the Spanish court. He's Spanish. And so it would take place in Spain. Spain has some interesting rules that they will charge their citizens even if they've committed crimes
elsewhere.
They'll have the trial in their country for crimes committed elsewhere. So just because you didn't do it in Spain, but you're Spanish, you're going to be dealt with. And that's a wonderful policy. Yeah. So, but yeah, they're claiming it happened in the Bahamas. The article says that, it is unclear whether the organizations helping these women contacted the Bahamian authorities and whether there's any investigation, whether they were even alerted. We don't know. So that's interesting. But we'll continue to follow that one for you. All right, so let's get to the big story of the day. Again, the headline is Disgraceful. Bishop Boyd questioning the sentencing disparity between poor blacks. Before we get into that, though, did you watch any of that yesterday, the opening of the legal year, Laverne?
A little of it.
Yeah. I still have issues with this whole thing. The robes and the wigs. And
yes.
The marching up and down.
As do I.
Do they even know why they do this? I mean, it's great to give a report card and talk about what has happened, what hasn't happened, and what you're planning on doing. But, I mean, I just don't. And do the wigs have to be? Anyway, I don't understand.
I don't know.
It's just so strange.
Do they still wear them in the UK? I don't think. Do they? I don't think they
Probably
do.
the very old ones, I guess, but it's just very strange, very strange. And I know tradition is beautiful, but come on now. And these are not even like traditions we did. These are your traditions of other people. I almost said oppressors, but I didn't say it.
But you just did, Dwight.
What? No, I said I almost did. But this is weird. But anyway, let's get to it. This is what and then they got more than they wanted, I'm sure, from the Anglican bishop yesterday. Take a listen to this report from our Vonique Toot.
Anglican Bishop Leish Boyd says harsher penalties are handed out to the poor black man, while the wealthy and other races appear to receive more lenient penalties.
I ask you to mete out justice fairly. Let me tell you what I mean. How is it that a poor black man commits the same crime as a white person or a rich or well-connected black man, and the two of them get, listen to this, different treatment, and they get a different sentence? How is that? I've been to law school. You tell me how that could be. And I'm not laughing.
His comments drew laughs from members of the legal fraternity during a church service at Christ Church Cathedral to mark the opening of the new legal year. However, Boyd said it is unfair and disgraceful.
You all laugh because you know it's true. And I mention it because it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And it is not the justice which our British forebears bequeathed to us. It's not this that the architects of majority rule and independence envisioned. And it's not what your parents and grandparents taught you in terms of fairness. So when we talk about doing our best and being our best, when we talk about helping those who can't help themselves, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't have time to go into it further now. But if you have anything to say to me, you catch me outside and we'll talk.
Okay, Vonique Toot with that report there. Bishop Leish Boyd. I heard his name Leish for years. Always, I never really wondered what that name meant, but I had to look it up yesterday after those comments. And apparently, Leish is Hebrew for lion. So lion, he was roaring yesterday. Absolutely. Okay, let's. We want to get your reaction to it, but there is comments from the Attorney General as well. You want to say something, Laverne, before we get to that?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Callers will get to you in a second as well. So Attorney General Ryan Pinder pushed back against Bishop Bishop Boyd's comments. Our Latanya Roberts writing about that in today's NASA Guardian. Attorney General Ryan Pinder pushed back against the criticism from Anglican Bishop Leish Boyd, who questioned what he sees as a disparity in punishment doled out to the poor black man compared to white or well-connected black people. So Pinder, on the sidelines of the opening of the legal year yesterday, saying, quote, "I think that making a blanket statement like that doesn't take into account the facts and circumstances that are in each and every single matter that we look at. For instance, I know with one of the vessels that we seized on illegal charters in the country, we couldn't seize the vessel because the bank already had a lien on it, right? And you would say, so look at, you seized the Bahamian vessel, but you couldn't seize the foreigner's vessel. Well, there are other complications in those types of matters. We have matters where we impose fines. You have the choice of a fine, or if you can't pay the fine, you get incarcerated. Some of those that are convicted choose to pay a fine because they have the ability to pay the fine. So there are different aspects that you take into account when you're sentencing, when you have the prosecutor seek a certain sentence, and when the judge really puts down a certain sentence. There are a number of different criteria that are assessed. Is this helping? Is this making it?
No,
okay.
It's absolutely not helping. You and I, Guardian has reported on stories where you and I commented and said, had that been a Bahamian, a black Bahamian. We've said that. First one that comes quickly to mind, there are others. The incident, I think was a tourist. I believe she was inebriated and ended up attacking the police officer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
And what became of that? What happened? Is she's currently still serving a sentence in Fox Hill?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't say for sure, but I doubt it.
Right. And there are other instances, as I'm sure some callers will bring up, but so there is a marked difference.
Yeah.
We've heard about boats and guns being found on boats and ammunition, and again, what has happened in those instances.
People make
right?
They say they have a health condition, they're not feeling well, and then you get fined and you go. But can you use that excuse if you're a Bahamian?
Right. So there is a difference, and I think we're being disingenuous when we pretend as if it's just, well, okay, as if well, we couldn't seize the boat. Yeah, but we're not just talking about the boat now, are we? We recognize that there's a difference. I mean, unless the reports are inaccurate.
Doesn't seem so.
There appears to be in the difference in the way that justice is meted out. Now, does that mean I'm sure there's some flexibility, right? So that you commit a crime or whatever, you break the law, you can serve between, let's say, 2 to 5 years. It just appears as if and I'm saying appears, because again, I don't have all of the in and out, but it just seems as if those who are not like us sometimes get the lighter part of that 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, well, I hear you.
But my issue really and honestly is not an issue so much. It just stood out to me, and I'm, of course, just reading what Bishop said. It's disgraceful, and it's not the justice which our British forebears bequeathed to us.
Well,
that stood out to me.
That part is debatable, but
it's not the justice, because I'm thinking if you're speaking to the disparity, this is in fact the justice that was bequeathed to us.
This part here. So Pender noted that the system is making strides to create better transparency with sentencing guidelines. He said, quote, "We've been working very hard with our team on formulating sentencing guidelines that will give a little bit more predictability and will give a little bit more transparency. You may see in the sentencing guidelines where it says that if you have certain mitigating circumstances, that the sentence is reduced to a certain amount, whereas if you don't have mitigating circumstances, it's not. We know now that judges look at first-time offenders and they consider that a mitigating circumstance, may get a discount on the number of years that they are convicted. While as a repeat offender, you may not have that mitigating circumstance, and may get a larger sentence from the judge. So you do have to look at each case independently. I think that the sentencing guidelines are going to bring a lot of transparency to the issue, and I certainly have full faith and confidence in the judiciary that they are undertaking their responsibility appropriately. Okay, so if that's going to mean that it won't matter whether this is your first offense, if, let's say, you killed 15 people time, right? Oh, well, first offense, so we'll give you, no. So that, right, the severity of the crime should have a greater weight than whether this is your first offense. But my God, it took us till 2026 to get to this? That's crazy. But at least
I'm sure it will.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I just want to know why you kind of just brushed over that part, though.
Which part?
It is not the justice which our British.
Hey, I already said patted down by the oppressor. So I'm sure you know how I feel. Because.
But it in fact is, Dwight.
Well, again, they're still wearing robes and wigs in 90-degree weather. So it's very, very, very interesting.
The justice. Anyway.
Wow. The phone lines are all lit up. We'll get to what the Chief Justice had to say in a bit. But let's hear from you. But we've talked about a lot this morning. Let's hear from your callers. Good morning. You're live on the air.
Hey, Dwight. Good morning.
Good morning.
And to your co-host in the studio.
Good morning.
You're a little low, John. We can barely hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
That's better now, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. You remember some time ago we were talking on to one of these issues, because there were many cases that we raised the very same issue. And I said to you, I quoted Amos, the famous prophet of justice, in the Bible, and I raised the issue as to why it was that the church was so silent on the obvious inequity of justice in the country. I would say that the bishop's comment is not too late, but I would also go further to ask more religious leaders to be vocal about the inequity of justice. I listened to the Attorney General counter statement, and it did nothing to quell the concerns of Bahamians. The many examples where, like the bishop, those of us who are non-legal minds have serious concerns about the standard of justice when it comes down to the categories that he raised. One that I remember way back when I first started following this kind of imbalance was there was a case where one gentleman shot a flare gun at a passing aircraft that was flying too low to a restaurant that he perhaps was affiliated with. And likewise, he was afforded a fine. And then there was a Bahamian who was found to have possession of a flare gun and was given time in prison. I remember that case very well. So Mr. Pinder's comment does not in any which way, for someone like myself, it did not assuage my concerns that there is the practice of inequitable justice in this system. As for the garment that they wear, the robes and the regalia, and the event that they held yesterday, Dwight, it just so happened that I was driving some Canadians past the procession of attorneys walking to and from the church. And one of the ladies commented that she was so happy that Canada got rid of the wigs. And she said it wasn't soon enough.
My goodness.
It is time for the Bahamian attorneys to take a serious look at this constant dragging of this British tradition, because as far as I'm concerned, it is a representative of something that is not speaking to where we are as a people at this time.
Absolutely.
Black people walking down Bay Street with blonde hair. It's just the weirdest thing you want to see. Thank you, Dwight.
Very disturbing. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow. Let's take some more calls. Caller, good morning. You're live on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Good morning to the lady from the north, Divine.
Good morning.
Good morning, my blessed Bahamas. Dwight, God waking me. I want to comment on two things. See, a lot of people hate my boy Trump. Trump doing an excellent job in America. Trump say come February, he's up in the federal funding to all the blue states. They doing all kind of forgery and all kind of nonsense. But our leaders will take all our money and give away to other people's and make a tax to bring people to death. And I respect Mr. The guy who in charge of the person, what do you mean? Mr. Fernando. Now you get my respect now. Larry Boyd saying the same thing. Now, Brian Marisa, you need to come over and start saying some good things too. Tim Sawyer, y'all are excellent Bahamians. Dwight, we in the Bahamas, Dwight.
All these names you called are retired. What? Okay.
Yeah, no, but he just like how the rest speakers, he can speak, Dwight.
Okay.
See, these politicians saying, listen to me, 52 and Cleveland, let me know. Be saying things for years and years, be saying these things. Dwight, this country needs to be fixed. The Bahamas not a broke country, be a rich country, but bad management from both government, PLPs and F&M. $13 billion worth of debt. My train got to pay. They have all this money. Where the money going? I ain't seen them building nothing. Dwight, all in my brother. God waking. Okay. And I can say this till I die. We wouldn't get no blessings until the most school get out our way. Let us run our country. And time take my God.
Okay, thank you very much. Wow. Let's take another call, then we'll get to your text messages. Good morning. You're on the air. Are you there? No? Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Yes. Good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Laverne.
Hi, morning.
Yeah, Dwight.
Good morning.
And congratulations, hey, Laverne, and congratulations to the Mr. Boyd, Leach Boyd,
Bishop
right?
Boyd.
Because for 14 years, like you and Laverne already said, right? We have numerous cases. Dwight, you remember the case with on downtown with Senior Frogs?
Refresh my memory.
All right, you remember when the police went to arrest a white guy who was carrying on bar downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he beat the police right up, ripped him right up to pieces, right? And he ended up going back on the ship. Yeah, and then then and I don't know if you all realize that the bail that we now bail for murder. Well, there was a white man who had committed a murder and caused there to be bail for murder. But they never used to give them that before, right? And then
I'm not sure if that's accurate, but
you could check it out, Dwight.
Yeah.
You could check it out. It happened. I don't want to call the person name, right? But that's what caused us to now be giving out bails the way we giving out bails, because it was very hard for to get bails. And when this man killed this man, shoot him and pull him back in the yard, and what you call it, he was one of the first person in this country. But there's so much other stories inside this country that relates to what the man was then, because we see this every day. Every day we just see this. Then let me give this last case. Remember the white man would got locked up, and he said he deserve what is called it, sugar or diabetes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And look, people inside the place have sugar, diabetes, hypertension, and all type of ailments, but they right there suffering. Right there too, they suffering with those ailments, man. And so we have to really, truly set some type of example for everybody. You can't be because you lighter, you get lighter sentence, and I get darker sentence. No, man, it can't be like that. Whatever the situation is, whoever commit the crime, they need to pay the cost, so that we can have a balance even in the mindset of the people that like, it ain't a matter what skin color you are. Once you commit a crime, you can get the same brunt of the law of every.
Yeah. Okay.
Have a nice day, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, with that last part, the health issues, noticing that with it's not a race thing. We're noticing with a lot of people, but if you look at it, fewer younger people claim to have medical conditions, right? So it's older people, and you can assume they have more money, and I think that may be why there seems to be a disparity. But hey, you do notice these things. Okay, we've got a lot of your text messages. Let's get to these. This person says here, this is not related to what we're talking about either. Do you know if that asylum bill, first of all, we don't know what you're talking about. It was not an asylum bill. It was a smuggling of migrants bill. Was signed by the Governor General. It was a Gazette. Okay. It was passed in the House and the Senate, so that's pretty much law. Okay. This person says here, it appears Laverne is very chipper today. Did Grand Lucaya find a buyer? What does that have to do with Laverne? And no. But Laverne, you're chipper because this is a special day for you too, right?
No, it's not.
You don't call it a special day? Wow.
No, it's not a special day for me, but I think I thought I was chipper every Thursday.
You are chipper every Thursday. I don't know what this person's problem is. So I'm going to call you out. So your husband's birthday is not a special day for you? That's what you're saying?
It's a special day.
Wow. Boy,
it's a special day.
Boy, I tell you. See how these people go?
Happy birthday, love. I hope that you feel better because he's under the weather.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. This person says here, it appears that only white Bahamians know what a conflict of interest is. That's not true. Please stop. But very few Bahamians seem to know what a conflict of interest is. But it's not just white Bahamians that know. Stop it. And they're pointing to Brent Simonet knowing and doing the right thing back then. Boy. Okay. So the bank supersedes the law. That's interesting. This is in response to what the Attorney General said about how the bank had a lien on the boat, and so they couldn't seize it. That's very interesting. Like, can't you tell the bank, carry your issues somewhere else? No?
Yes,
can't you do
the
that?
bank supersedes the law.
Okay.
They have first right. Okay.
There you go. Attorney General Binder thinks we are conks. Just talking contradiction. Wow. The bishop's truth-telling was most needed in this time. We have seen the inconsistencies, and we agree with the bishop. To the politicians, simply fix it, no slapping up. Wow. Laverne, no, the English courts are far superior to this bastardized version of justice we have in the Bahamas. Well, that's not what you and the bishop. That's not quite the same thing. But anyway. Those of us who get what it's pointing to, we get what you're pointing to there. Yeah. Just a reminder, it's 2026, and we are going into the 5th year of the Adrian Gibson case. And you see, I said this yesterday to some folks, like, you would think that you celebrate these start of the legal year because you finish everything that was on the docket before, and now we got a new slate. But no, you got cases going on for years. What is
continues?
I don't understand. It's
going to drag on until we completely forget, and then something is going to happen behind closed doors that we don't know about. And yeah,
my goodness, I don't see anything wrong with upholding these traditions. The two issues are separate. If timely dispensing of justice is the issue, fix that. Robes and wigs are not the problem. Well, that's what you say. I think it's a symbol of a lot of problems. But anyway, do we plan to change the police, defense, immigration uniforms? Well, if they don't make sense in 80 to 90 degree temperatures, and then maybe you should, right? Question everything. Why is this big khaki? What is that? Well, why is it so heavy? What does it really make sense? Maybe they like it. If they're fine with it, that's fine. But some other things you have to question. You're doing it just because that's how they did it.
Okay,
in the 1700s in the country up there.
And it's okay to look at certain things and say, you know what? Here's the reason why. They use this materials because they had to spend a lot of time outdoors, and this helped to protect them from mosquitoes or whatever. I'm just saying,
that's often
it's okay to look at that and just say, you know what? We no longer work those types of conditions.
In this era of air conditioning, it is not practical anymore.
Right.
That
so
kind of
we
stuff.
can make adjustments. We can make the fabric lighter. We don't necessarily have to change the color.
Absolutely.
But, it is okay to look at certain things and to say, we can tweak this. So we can look at the wigs. I'm not even saying the robe. We can look at the wigs and be like, do we really need it?
Well, you know you don't.
What was it before? Why did they wear it before? What was the reasoning? And then, does that really apply to us? We can dispense with the wigs. Maybe we have that discussion. It's okay to do that.
Well, I know they say it's optional now in the court. You don't wear it in court, but some of them still do. So the text continues. Do we change the police uniforms, immigration uniforms? Should we have the Anglicans and the Catholics stop wearing robes? Well, as Laverne says, question it. Do you really need to do it? What's the point? This person says, as we go to the break, oh, no, we don't have time. Let's go to the news, and we'll pick this up on the other side. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas, Channel 969, and BTC Flow, Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796, standard text rate supply. And now at 8:24, it is time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. So we've got a lot going on weather-wise. We've got a wind advisory and a gale warning in effect for the northern and northwest Bahamas. Winds and gusts are expected to reach at least 35 knots or 40 miles per hour beginning this morning, heading into the evening hours. So it's all as a result of an extremely powerful cold front, along with its prefrontal trough that's going to march across the northern islands beginning today and throughout the day today. The front's going to bring showers, thunderstorms, and extremely strong gusty winds as it moves into the central Bahamas by nightfall. High pressure is going to dominate briefly across the rest of the country as the surface ridge retreats through tonight. But that's not all. So after this front moves through and continues on to the southeast Bahamas before stalling and weakening by Friday night, behind it, we've got a short-lived spell of cool to chilly temperatures. That's going to continue until Saturday with a warming trend taking place as the surface ridge rebounds. Lingering troughing from the front will support showers across portions of the islands throughout the remainder of the weekend. But then another cold front is going to move into the islands by late Sunday, early Monday morning. That's going to bring another round of gusty winds and cooler temperatures before stalling and fizzling out across the central Bahamas by midweek next week. So that's next week. For now, for today, we've got a lot that we're going to be dealing with. Wind hazards, rip currents, and coastal threats. So residents in the northern half of the country, as well as in the northern Exuma Keys, are encouraged to secure loose objects around their properties and should exercise caution, extreme caution, while driving because of the hazardous wind speeds. And there's a high risk of dangerous rip currents, extremely rough surf, and choppy seas throughout the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas. Beachgoers and swimmers in these areas should stay out of the water until conditions improve. For the southeast Bahamas, beachgoers and swimmers are urged to remain on shore or near shore as well. And then there is the moderate risk of minor beach erosion, especially for southern and western shorelines in the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas. Motorists and pedestrians are advised to exercise extreme caution while along coastal roads in those areas, as overtopping waves, coastal flooding, and sea spray are possible. So we're dealing with a lot. Specifically for today, your forecast: cloudy to overcast, turning mostly fair by late night for the extreme northern islands, but turning cloudy by tonight for the northwestern islands. Up to a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms for the northern half of the country. Conditions will improve by tonight, with rain chances decreasing to about 10 to 20%. But you can still be dealing with the winds, the gust to gale force by late morning into this afternoon for the northern half of the country, and into this evening. Slightly better conditions for the central islands today. Partly sunny, becoming partly cloudy tonight. A 10% chance of showers at first, increasing to 20 to 40% chance by tonight. And the gusty winds by tonight, gusting to gale force by this evening, especially for the Exuma Keys. The southeast Bahamas might be the best place to be today. Mostly sunny, turning mostly fair tonight. Only about a 10% chance of showers today, increasing to about 20% chance by tonight. For temperatures, we're looking at highs in the northern half of the country in the mid to upper 70s only, so a range of 24 to 26 Celsius. Overnight lows in the upper 60s, around 20 Celsius. For the central islands and the southeast Bahamas, highs around 84 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight into the mid 70s, around 24, 25 Celsius. With your extended outlook again Friday, a mix of sun and clouds at first for the northern half of the country, with gradual clearing throughout the day. Mostly fair conditions with cloudy intervals at night. For the southeast Bahamas and the central islands, mostly cloudy tomorrow. By Saturday, we're looking at cloudy to overcast conditions again for the northern half of the country, and a mix of sun and clouds, turning mostly fair at night elsewhere. Pretty much the same on Sunday into Monday. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. If you're looking to paint, your local Sherwin-Williams store has top quality paints, expert advice, and everyday discounts to help you save only at Sherwin-Williams. And time for a check of traffic, brought to you by RBC. With RBC, your goals happen here. In real-time traffic, we've got a number of hot spots to tell you about. That whole Mila Butler and New Providence Highway corridor not looking pretty at all for you. If you can avoid that area, you might want to do that. So Miles Butler Highway, from well south of the Fire Trail roundabout. You're going to see that from Alexandria Road, Hamster Road, straight through the Fire Trail roundabout, all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway, and that's going to pick up for you again on New Providence Highway through Sports Center Road roundabout up to the Six-Legged roundabout. Not pretty if you're heading northbound this morning. Traffic backed up a bit along John F. Kennedy Drive eastbound to the Six-Legged roundabout, and slow moving on the southbound side of New Providence Highway as you approach that Six-Legged roundabout this morning. Then we've got Gladstone Road. Gladstone Road's busy for you as well. Northbound, north of Fire Trail, you'll see that slow-moving traffic straight through to the roundabout with John F. Kennedy Drive and Bahamar Boulevard. And Blue Hill Road, also slow-moving traffic from St. Vincent straight up to Independence Drive, especially heavy near Carmichael. Heavy both directions from Soldier straight down to Carmichael. And Independence Drive is going to be seeing heavy traffic both directions between the roundabouts at Blue Hill and East Street. East Street also slow moving for you north and south of that intersection with Soldier Road. Then we've got West Bay Street. You've got near Saunders Beach eastbound near as you approach the roundabout with New Providence Highway. Very slow moving traffic there. And once you get east of Arawaki, you'll see that again with slow moving eastbound traffic east and west of Nassau Street. And slow again once you get into the downtown Bay Street area. In eastern New Providence, also not pretty. You've got pockets along Prince Charles Drive, but especially as you head into Robinson Road, if you're heading westbound, and north of that intersection on Soldier, straight up to Bernard Wolfe Village. Not nice for you if you're on Soldier this morning. Keep that in mind. That's a real-time traffic in your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought by NUA Insurance Agents and Brokers, your partner for smart motor insurance and advice that puts you first, whether you're at home or on the go. Getting an instant quote is easy. Give them a call or visit your nearest branch or anytime at nuainsurance.com.
No one likes a fender bender.
Oh, man.
From a little scratch to a full mashup, NUA Insurance has got you covered with auto insurance tailored to fit your needs and budget. For affordable rates with free on-site accident assistance, visit us online or in branch and just ask us. NUA Insurance. Ask us because we've got you covered.
Mom, the Christmas cookies are ready. Leave them right here under the tree for...
For Santa or for CIBC Caribbean? 'Tis the season for dreams to come true. Whether it's a house, land, vehicle, or upgrading your home, CIBC Caribbean can support your dreams with the financing you need. Enjoy incredible cashback deals with mortgages and land loans. Plus, your approved loan gives you a chance to win up to US $5,000. Apply now at www.cibccaribbean.com/sweeten the season. Terms and conditions apply.
Step inside the John Baptiste Jazz Club at Bahamar, where the rhythm of the islands of the Bahamas meets the soul of New Orleans. Every night, the lights dim, the music swells, and the air fills with that unmistakable energy, the kind that makes you close your eyes and just feel. Savor signature cocktails, curated small plates, and live performances from world-class musicians, all in an intimate, artfully designed space where every seat has a story. Whether it's a romantic night out or a spontaneous evening with friends, this is where you want to be. The John Baptiste Jazz Club, only at Bahamar. Reserve your table now at bahamar.com/jazz club or through the Bahamar app, because every evening plays its own tune.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
You of control. It means that those are bearing forget the goal. We can't change the weather, the future of people's minds, but yet we focus on them all the time. We must accept the things that we cannot change.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, Laverne Gardner, the always chipper Laverne Gardner on this Thursday morning here on Guardian Radio. All right, so we've been talking about the start of the legal year, the comments from Bishop Laish Boyd and the Attorney General's response to that. We'll get to what the Chief Justice is saying in a bit, but we got a whole lot of your text messages to get to. I want to get through these. Okay, so listen to this, Laverne. This person says here, as usual, you guys are taking a blanket approach to everything and not getting the real reason behind the sentencing. Okay. While in Miami over the holiday, I drove through a school lane making more than the speed limit and was stopped by a cop who asked me for my driver's license. And when he saw that I was a Bahamian, he allowed me to go and said it was because I was a Bahamian. These things happen all through the world. There's no one cap fitting all in law. You know, this is one of the worst examples of trying to make a point.
Honestly, I wish the texter.
Oh, man.
Not.
Oh, I don't know what you're trying to prove with this
I
text.
wish they did not provide an
Oh,
example.
this is awful. And you really... Anyway, this is not the type of thing we're talking about here. Okay? Right? If you want to say... that you shot somebody and they said, oh, you're a Bahamian. Okay, never mind. Go, right? Maybe, and that also would have been a terrible example, but that would have made a little more sense. This is not the same type of thing. These are people committing, you are a horrible person, by the way, but also people committing very serious crimes and getting a slap on the wrist for various reasons. But I don't know if your example proves anything other than you might be a jerk. Okay, this person says here, and you knew that you were driving through a school zone. I know they have lights and they have all these things, right? Around here, the signs are broken down and everyone's going 100 around you. So you might think you're not in a school zone, but over there, when you're in a school zone. So, anyway, this text says here, remember bail for persons on murder started when the Greek guy on East Bay shot the burglar who was running away from his house. He skipped bail and ran away to Greece for a number of years until many years later the government decided on a non-prosecution. Okay. Well, I mean, part of the issue, though, I don't remember that case specifically, but a lot of it was that people were not getting bail for murder because the case would come up in a reasonable time, right? And then what was happening was the reasonable time became very unreasonable, and they had started to have to, isn't that part of the reason, too? But the lawyers can get me straight on it. But it is, we've taken this to another level now. People are getting bail for multiple events, multiple murders, multiple things. You're getting bail after you skip bail, and it's out of control. It's out of control. This texter says here, okay, lots of old stories. People are missing today about all the things that happened, all the people who of different wealth brackets and complexions who've gotten away with all manner of crimes. So it's
like I said, we have countless stories, right? And I knew that would happen.
Yeah.
So to say to people who are seeing this unfold, who maybe committed similar acts and, got the harsher penalty, to pretend as if there isn't some sort of inequity imbalance is an insult.
Yeah, wow. This texter says, I can't stand those dingy looking wigs.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Boy.
This person says it's laughable to hear the AG try to push back on the bishop's comments, while there is no doubt that there are circumstances related to specific cases. By and large, the bishop is right, and the AG knows it. Murderers getting bail all began because of a precedent set when somebody with money and of a lighter skin hue was given bail for shooting someone of a darker hue in the back and killing them. Okay, so everyone remembers this case. This person says it's not a race thing, but it's surely locals versus tourists, different treatment. Well, I think it's more of a money thing than race. I really do think that. Right? I really do think that's the thing.
I think it's a money thing, but it's also
yeah.
Okay. It's not just a money thing, right?
Well, money number one, but if you're poor and a tourist, your outcome will be better than poor and Bahamian.
A Bahamian,
okay,
right, and poor,
right. Perhaps it seems. Don't get mad at us lawyers and judges. That's just how it seems. You fix it. If it's not. This person says, let's be honest with each other. In every country, it's rich versus poor, or the haves versus the have-nots. If you give nothing to the system, how do you expect to get from the system? What? You had us until you got there.
Confused.
You were like, we were with you, and then you drove us off a cliff.
You turned that corner, and now we're lost.
Boy, okay. Example, who would you send to jail? The rich guy that committed fraud but employs 100 people and pays taxes, or the poor guy who committed fraud but never worked or paid taxes in his life? Oh my, you sound like you are.
Taxes, right?
This one sounds like they're ready for the House of Assembly or court. I don't know, boy, that's some warped thinking.
How about sending to jail the person who committed the crime?
Both of them.
How about that?
Send them all to jail. Everybody. All of them.
Both of them to jail?
Same cell.
Can we do that?
How about that? Same cell. Anyway. Gosh. Dwight, it looks like Adrian Gibson's case will never end, but the Grand Bahama woman's file cannot be found. Which Grand Bahama woman? Oh, I think I know what they mean. Okay. Where is the fairness in this? It's not just one person's file can't be found, though. What about the white man who was living on Paradise Island who shot the plane? Someone mentioned that earlier. From a law enforcement perspective, we would strongly prefer the previous uniform be retained. The current uniform is quite uncomfortable for our climate, and in the case of the white tunic, it is also expensive to maintain. See, previous texter? Yeah. There are issues, and we have to make it make sense. Make it make sense.
And that's what we're saying. It's okay to look at certain things to see why it was done, and to say, is this still relevant for today?
Yeah.
The same, because the reason behind things, right? We always go back to the story. There are variations of it where, well, there's one that I know. There was a grandmother who would always cut off the end of the ham and then bake this delicious ham. And then her daughter did that, cut off the end of the ham. And then her daughter did that, cut off the end of the ham. And then her daughter was like, why do we cut off the end of the ham? I don't know. And they go back to the original. But she cut off the end of the ham because she didn't have a pot that was big enough at that time to hold the entire ham. That was the only reason she cut off the end. Mm-hmm. So it's okay to look at things and say, why are we doing this? All right. Is this still applicable to today? No, it isn't. Can we find another way?
But in the meantime, they all told each other that cutting off the edge of the ham makes it taste better.
Of course, because you didn't know. Right. Absolutely, because you didn't know, right? Until you asked.
You know why this ham tastes so bad? Because you didn't cut off the edge. That's what you got to do. That's what my grandma used to do.
One of them has to have a YouTube channel saying, okay, today we're doing baked ham, and you absolutely have to cut off the end because it gives it so much flavor.
Oh, man.
Okay. It is okay to look at these systems that we have, to look at these processes that we have, and to say, does this make sense for the day and time in which we live?
Yeah.
Do we have to put on this wig?
Mm-hmm. But, again, yes, it looks uncomfortable, but it's bigger than that, right? It's just what it symbolizes.
And that's why I'm saying let's hold it up and look at it.
If you think, like this texter, listen to this texter, we really love to major in the minor in this country. All of this conversation about what lawyers wear, I don't get it, and I don't understand why this is under discussion. And I always see it happen by non-lawyers. If you're not a lawyer, what difference does it make to you? How does it affect your daily life? It's none of your business. I can guarantee you, though, that if and when a decision is made concerning what lawyers' uniforms look like, it won't be based on opinions of non-lawyers. It'll be based on the decision made by lawyers. Yeah, okay. Like we were saying.
And that's fine. We're just making a suggestion.
It's not fine. It's not fine. This is, again, just because they used to do it back in the day doesn't mean that you need to be doing it. And because they used to do it, you might actually not want to do it. Right? This is a psychological thing. A lot of us were still mentally enslaved. Mentally enslaved, and free yourself from this as an independent country that, tradition is nice, but you got to start your own thing. Do your own thing. Be unique. Don't carry on these traditions that make no sense to you. Right. You don't even know why. You don't know why, just because that's what we do. All right. Let's take these calls quickly. We've got to take a break soon. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
And thanks for taking my call.
Hi.
The first time I heard about non-prosequi, I don't know if you heard that before.
Non-prosequi, yes.
About something, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I have money and I could go to Canada and pay.
No, it isn't just rich people. They're doing that to a lot of cases.
I think it applies black and white. I think it's all about money. Mm-hmm. You know, we be looking at it as being, someone of light color. But if you have the money, you could pay to play. I could shoot someone in the back, Pennsylvania Avenue, and nothing happened to me.
Wow.
But that's just the way it is. But
I don't know if I like that street that you named. But why do you, anyway? Okay. You're going to try to get us in trouble. Let's take another call. Thank you very much. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Cousin Dwight, and good morning to my friend Laverne.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Dwight, I'm going to tell you and whoever out there is laughing, like Bishop Blake's boy, this is not a laughing matter.
Yeah, I don't know why they laughed. That was weird.
Because Grammy boy, I'm a fearless person. I don't get afraid when people say certain things to me, but when it affects myself and a lot of others, then I get on point. I have to get on point and let it be known. I need you and the audience out there who's serious and not laughing to see if the commissioner of police can contact Grammy Boy. My number is 565-0931, or Bishop Leach Boy, because I have some damning, and I don't say this lightly, some damning evidence about the Princess Margaret Hospital that needs to be seen by somebody that's not laughing. Evidence. Okay? I have been trying to bring this thing to light for years. Nothing has happened, or there is a massive cover-up. So I'd like for Bishop Leach Boyd or the Commissioner of Police, Ms. Shanta Knowles, to call the Guardian Radio, get my number from Dwight and those, and I will fill them in on the information they need to know. Thanks for taking Grammy Boy call.
Okay. Well, you might want to get a lawyer and go directly to them, but wow. All right, let's take another call. Good morning, call. You're live on the air. Hi, are you there?
Hey, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, how you doing, brother? Chris Davis, John Canoe II here.
Hey, how's it going, historian?
Good, man, good. I just want to comment on a lot of people's perception and my own sort of opinion on this entire matter. And I find it amazing how Bahamians just always either try to disregard or downplay the issue of racism, right? In the Bahamas. And people always like to talk and highlight racism elsewhere, and it is almost like the Bahamas is the special place where racism doesn't exist. Of course, class is a huge factor in these cases where we find that people get slaps on the wrist, but race and class are inextricably linked globally. And in the Bahamas, I think it's clear to say you take 20 white people, whether they're Bahamian or foreign, and you take 20 blacks, and you compare the wealth, compare the economic status, compare the socio-economic reality of those two groups, I think it's clear to see who, who has more, and much of the white wealth, we have this term called old money and all of these things. And racism is alive and well in the Bahamas. And of course, we would call it white supremacy. And white supremacy is not just what we saw, for example, with that lady freaking out in that video, right? But I found it borderline shocking, because if it was me or you saying exactly the same thing and essentially coaxing the police to lock you up or to do something was going to be done. We saw it at the Junkanoo parade just passed with one of the group leaders, right? And he is also a person of prominence, he may not, and class, right? And you see it with this poor lady. And this is where we see that race seems to be the only factor, and class certainly isn't, right? Because she's seen very uneducated and one of the few not poor whites, I guess you could say, in the Bahamas, or so it appeared from the video, right? And we have many, many cases where whites get off scot-free. We could even go back to the mid-20th century, and we're talking about the murder of Harry Oakes and how the white oligarchs were certainly guilty of that. I can leave that one right there, all right? And so I just wanted to kind of comment on this, and we must not be afraid to downplay racism. We must not be afraid to call out. And Bishop Boyd, I agree with 90% of his statement, but therein is a part of the problem where he sort of opined our sense of justice and almost thanked the British for giving us these laws, when I would argue that it's the push of white supremacy during the colonial period, during slavery, that is the remnants of what we're seeing now. And this is why a white person could blatantly threaten the police, who seems to be poor, and not get locked up. And when we see wealthy black Bahamians getting any type of trouble, we send them around the ringer. We could even go as deep, and this is no criticism to the fifth state per se, but when Lynn Hollowesco, I'll call the name, was arrested, everybody was crying for her to get an apology. And this also manifests in how Bahamians, they are regular callers on all of the shows, not just Guardian, on all the shows, of every bad thing under the sun to say, but every black politician in the Bahamas, they don't say the same about white politicians, although there is a group that does, but they certainly don't say the same about Donald Trump, right? And so all of this is just different examples of how white supremacy manifests here in the Bahamas, right?
Yeah, it was Susan Hollowesco, by the way. But
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm so sorry. Yeah,
no
I'm so
problem.
sorry.
But any insight into the wigs and the robe from a historical perspective? Or what do you know?
That just proves my point again, and it's optional. And then you still have people that would proudly wear the wig, and the wig is nothing more than to mimic our British colonial masters. Not to call them masters, but to put it, in a context that everybody could sort of understand, And we see it even with the robes. We see it in the Anglican Church. We saw it, though Bishop Boyd's comments were spot on, he still felt the need to somehow praise the British for giving us our sense of justice and these laws. At least that was the context of which he was speaking in, right? And it shouldn't have been that. For me, it should have just been, we know what's right, we know what's wrong. We need to fashion our laws for ourselves, And so the wigs and all of these things, and in that space, the judiciary, it's certainly an issue. And I heard a texter say something about it. It ain't your business, it's the law's business. It's absolutely our business, because these are the people that are supposed to carry out justice in the society that we live in. And if they seem to be too conforming too much to the ideals and the sentiments of white supremacy, i.e. prouding these wigs that are meant to literally mimic our slave masters, like it's not even an exaggeration. That's literally who they're mimicking. And you see it in the Anglican Church to this day as well. And this is something that's very deep. These are conversations that can't get uncomfortable. I could literally show you Bahamian families that attend the same church that their slave masters attended to this day. And so this is something for those of us who are really astutely dedicated to researching the sort of African perspective, our history, and our present social plight, that rings alarm bells for me.
Yeah.
I won't say I hate someone because they are not as fervently African as I am, because I totally understand. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to call these things out. And I think now is a moment for us to express these things, for others to come out and talk about their own racist experiences. I even had one myself a few times with white Bahamians right there at Clifton Heritage National Park. you know. And so this is something that we need to not be afraid of. And I would encourage white Bahamians, well-thinking and well-meaning white Bahamians, even to start sort of stand in solidarity with all Bahamians when we start to call out systematic racism that we see in our judiciary, that we see in our society, that we see on social media.
Yeah. Chris Davis, thank you very much. We're going to expand this conversation in our history series, but thank you so much for talking with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Yes.
All right, so I've got a couple of interesting messages here. This person says here, I think this is a lawyer, Laverne. This person says, Dwight, we only wear the wigs for ceremonies now. At one point, we were required to wear the wig at court as well. A judge would not hear you unless your wig was on. So slow and steady change is better than none. Well, boy. And also, a lot of us in that church were in full agreement with the bishop. We were not laughing. Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Then we got this text here that did the AI search on why the lawyers wear the wigs, according to the AI overview. So, but this happened with lawyers, barristers, mainly in the UK, for tradition, authority, and anonymity stemming from the 17th century fashion trends, plus syphilis epidemics covering hair loss, and to create a uniform look that separates legal figures from the public. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you got to be careful with what you accept as a tradition. You don't really know why you're doing it, and sometimes it's complete and utter foolishness. This person says here, as we said, all the texts are about people's stories. And black and white, literally, stories. Oh, boy. This texter says, I went to school in Costa Rica, and when I told the class that our lawyers wear those wigs, the entire class laughed. I was so embarrassed. The teacher said, even the black people? Oh, dear. Okay. Yeah. Okay. One final call, then we got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You are live on the air. Ty, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm calling. I'm called Tourist X. I'm an American, and I was calling. I saw the white lady disrespect your police officer in the Bahamas, and I was appalled. I'm a tourist, and if I go to Nassau and did that in Nassau, I would probably be arrested. So I can't understand how you let your own citizens disrespect your police on that level.
Okay, thank you for the call. I'm sure you see that where you come from as well, though. So, I mean, that's just how it is. We wanted to get to that story. If we have time, we might do it a little bit later, but definitely tomorrow. That's about the shanty town in, I think it was Eleuthera, and just very bizarre. Well, is it bizarre, Laverne? I don't know. I mean, I think we were talking about that a lot when the crackdown on shanty towns began, that the owners of these properties or the people leasing these properties have done a lot to bend over backwards to continue to maintain this system and these structures. And that's the reason why it's been allowed to continue for so long. I'm sure
that's their money maker.
This is the one time you've seen somebody on camera carry on like that, but I'm sure for all these years, for this to have been in existence, plenty of people were carrying on like that behind the scenes in order for this to stay.
It's a lucrative business, and that's the part that we don't talk about.
Yeah,
right. It's a lucrative business for some people. For some of these property owners. Yes, there's some squatting, but there are also some people who are fully aware. And that's how they make their money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got to go to a break and we got to go to the news. So this is Morning Blend. When we come back, we are talking with UB about corporal punishment and the impact this has and has on even people when they are in college and a whole lot more. We're going to get into that in a bit. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio. Stay with us.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice. It's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom Computers. You have challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with Custom Computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
Put more money back in your pocket with the Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan. Why pay more when you can pay less? Reduce your monthly debt payments down to one low, easy payment. Apply for a Fidelity Debt Consolidation Loan today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Sherwin-Williams Bahamas doesn't mess about when it comes to product range and product knowledge.
If it's a new product come in the store, we walk the store and study that product.
One thing with our boss, if a new product comes in, he takes the time and he's always keeping us up to date with product knowledge. And we just had 9 weeks of different products that we had to study, and we had exams at the end of each product.
Yeah.
The only way we can sell the product effective, we have to know that product. Yeah, that helps us to relate to our customers. It gives us better knowledge to know what product to introduce to them. You understand? So we can know what product to give them to use and what product not to give them to use. So product knowledge is really key in Sherwin-Williams.
They got the keys. And the key is the product knowledge that comes with our extensive product range at Sherwin-Williams Paints, Bahamas. Find color in every day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Looking for insurance that fits your lifestyle and your budget? At Star General Insurance, we've got you covered. Whether it's motor insurance with flexible options for third-party liability and comprehensive coverage, or commercial insurance products that protect your business, we have choices you can afford. Own a home or renting? Our home insurance products have just what you need. And for the adventurers out there, we offer marine insurance too. Visit our website or social media pages for contact information and quotes. Star General, insurance made simple.
It's a new year and bigger deals at Wendy's. For a limited time, receive a free apple pie with the purchase of a biggie bag. Choose from a Dave's single or chicken sandwich, junior fries, 4-piece nuggets, a 20-ounce drink, and a free apple pie on us. This offer won't last long, so visit your nearest Wendy's. Grab your biggie bag and a free apple pie today.
Looking for a school that's international, proudly Bahamian, and truly invested in your child's future? Bring the kids and join us at the St. Andrews International School Open House on Saturday, January 17th at 11 a.m. Meet our passionate teachers, tour our campus, and experience a vibrant, welcoming community where students are supported, challenged, and inspired to lead with confidence. Come see the St. Andrews difference for yourself. Visit standrewsbahamas.com or call 677-7800. St. Andrews International School, Ethics and Excellence.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Business on this Thursday, January 15th, 2026. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. And this morning we are talking about research at the University of the Bahamas, the International Journal of Bahamian Studies, late last year, releasing some of the findings of some very interesting research projects, including a study of attachment anxiety and rejection sensitivity as predictors of academic performance in undergraduate females studying at the University of the Bahamas. And the one that we're going to focus on today, childhood corporal punishment in Bahamian college students, and the association with executive functions, mood, sensitivity to reward and punishment, and openness to experience and creativity. William Fielding, part of the research project, especially on that latter one there, and he is with us. Good to see you again. Good morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, same to you. Same to you. All right, so let's talk about it. You were part of the, as we said, the childhood corporal punishment study, but you can give us a little context about the anxiety one as well. But let's talk about this. The goal of this research, and we'll get into the findings, but what were you trying to accomplish with this?
Well, what we've been trying to do through a series of research papers that we've written is to demonstrate the long-term consequences associated with corporal punishment. So we know that parents in particular use corporal punishment as a means of training their children to change their behavior, and they find this to be a convenient way of getting the desired outcome from the parents' viewpoint, of course. But the research that's done internationally and also increasingly here does demonstrate to a number of long-term consequences associated with corporal punishment, which the parent is probably unaware of, because if they were aware of, they probably wouldn't hit their child in the first place. But the whole discussion about corporal punishment, I think, is we need, when we talk about corporal punishment, firstly we need to distinguish between two very distinct types of corporal punishment. One is the judicial corporal punishment, which was part of the criminal system for as part of a sentence, if you like, for criminals, which has been abandoned in the Bahamas, but was there. But it does give the country a mindset that this has some sort of approval, if you like, because it was once part of what could be done towards criminals. And then we have the corporal punishment, which we're particularly interested in, for corporal punishment of children. And one of the things that our research typically shows is that people do not regard hitting children as a form of violence. And I think that's interesting, because when we talk about domestic violence, we tend to think of domestic violence as violence between intimate partners, between married couples or spouses or of some sort. And we don't tend to extend that thought of violence, domestic violence that happens within the home, to that which is inflicted upon the children.
Isn't that interesting?
And so I think that in that wider context, we can start to see that violence in the home, in its widest or a wider interpretation, becomes perhaps a little bit more disconcerting, but it's not just confined to the people at the top of the tree, but there's people at the top of the tree conflicted upon the children. So I think that's an interesting way in which we can expand what we mean by domestic violence in our particular situation here.
Right. All right, so that's the background there. And then to frame it in the way that it was framed, looking at it in Bahamian college students and how it affects their moods and decisions and even creativity. Let's talk about the rationale behind that.
Well, we were interested in, as saying, in terms of getting information that would enable parents or people who are bringing up children to make decisions regarding as to how they discipline their children. And we need to distinguish between discipline and punishment, because if I want to lose weight, I need to discipline myself. I need to act in a certain way which is going to obtain the goal. If I'm a musician, I have to practice, I have to discipline myself.
Right.
There's a difference between discipline and punishment, and we tend to conflate the two. And we tend to think of all discipline as being punishment, and that's not the case. So when we're talking about corporal punishment, we're talking about inflicting some sort of harm on the child. And what distinguishes this piece of research from other research in this area and related to it is that we're looking at these effects of corporal punishment on college level students. These are older students. So most of the research has been done on children, and so the information that's available on the effects of corporal punishment relate to a younger age group. We are looking at people who are at university age in a university environment. And so we're still finding the effects of corporal punishment are very evident. And what's interesting, just in a nutshell, if you like, is that despite the fancy title that you gave, the paper was given, is really what we're saying is that the corporal punishment is acting in a way that is contrary to what we want to teach children or teach students. So we want to teach them critical thinking skills. We want to teach them organizational skills. We want them to have good soft skills. Corporal punishment undermines all of that and is a negative influence on those attributes which we want everybody in society to excel at. And so the way in which we bring up our children is working counterproductively towards that goal.
Right. Now, you mentioned it earlier, the difference between, one second, Laverne, discipline and physical punishment. I'm sure there's some thinking that it's the type of physical punishment that will be more harmful than others. Is that the case, or is it across the board? If you're physically punishing somebody, it's going to have these negative effects.
Well, we looked at physical punishment, and what our data, not from this study but from another one and from the wider literature, shows is that once you start hitting a child with an object, then you increase the chances of that child being abused. And so hitting them with your hand, if you think about it, it also hurts you. So there's a limit as to what you could do when you're hitting a child with your hand. But if you're hitting them with an object, the person doesn't suffer that same way. And so this is why, for example, you might have seen some of the videos last year that a woman was actually, I think she was detained for abusing her child and so on. So that sort of extreme physical punishment is what makes the headlines, but there are lots of different levels of physical punishment. And in this particular study, just to make it very simple in the way we presented the results, we divided up those students who said that they had or had not received physical punishment.
Okay.
So that was a sort of a fairly simple way, because actually measuring physical punishment, there are so many factors, as you're alluding to, that can come into play. But it's not an easy thing to sort of measure in the sense of measuring 6, 7, or 8 on a scale.
Right.
So.
Okay. And we'll get into the findings in a bit. Laverne, your question?
Well, my question had to do actually with the findings. Like, what was it that you saw showing up in those students who fell into the category of receiving corporal punishment?
Yeah. So I guess you could tell us about
what are some of the things that begin to manifest itself?
The methodology and how the study, and then we can get
okay,
into
right.
that. Yeah.
So we had about, roughly speaking, 500 students who participated in the study, and we got useful results from about 450. So quite a reasonable number of people. I think one of the key findings that might interest people, particularly in the context of the discussion that was held last year on suicide, is that corporal punishment has a negative effect on depression, anxiety, and stress. So people who have been exposed to corporal punishment, they are going to more likely exhibit those traits.
Even in their later years,
even
college
at university,
wow.
That's right.
Okay.
And so you can see that spilling over to some, or possibly being a contributing factor to what the concerns were regarding suicide, not only in school children, but also in adulthood, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about young adults by the time they get to the university. So I think that is an interesting point to be remembered. The thing is, in terms of the being able to organize your life, in terms of organizing your if you like, if you're at university, you have to organize your day, you have to organize your work. So these are other things, aspects that people are more likely to struggle with when they've been subjected to corporal punishment than those who have not. And ultimately, as you know, corporal punishment can encourage people to solve problems by using aggression as well. And so, because that's how the problem has been solved in their earlier life. So they know that this works, and therefore they reproduce it. And so you get into the whole notion of, are we bringing up our children to be aggressive, even though that's not the intent of the child when they actually use corporal punishment. And so we need to distinguish between what the parent is trying to achieve when they actually use corporal punishment on the child at the time, and what is the manifestation of that corporal punishment many years later, which it was never designed to do, if you like.
Wow. All right. So, William Fielding, I asked you earlier about whether it was the type of physical punishment, but does it matter the frequency? If you were disciplined once with physical punishment versus maybe abuse, would you, even if it were only once, would you still have these issues?
From the way we divide up the data, the answer would be yes.
Oh, wow.
So, but of course, this is self-reported. These are young adults thinking about, was I corporally punished? So the people who said no are really, I think, the best interpretation is saying they had very little.
Okay.
And this of course ties in with this notion, which we've had on previous discussions on this program, where people phone in and say, "Oh, I got beat, but I turned out all right." Right. Which, of course, is a hypothesis that can never be tested. So, because we don't know how that person would have turned out had they not been beaten. But what is important is that the people in a previous study that we asked about, did you turn out all right? Those who said no to that question were the ones who said that they had been abused by corporal punishment.
Oh, wow.
So the people who are saying that they turned out all right are the people who may have been subject to corporal punishment, but not to the extent that they considered it to be abuse. Okay. And in some of the other studies that we've done, people have said on reflection they felt that their parents had abused them through corporal punishment, which I think is an interesting observation of the child, now an adult, looking back as to how their parents treated them.
Right. All right, so you had almost 500 students. They had to be at least 18 years old. Is that right?
Yes, that's an ethical requirement of the Internal Review Board.
Did you notice different results depending on whether they were male students or female students?
The bulk of the students, as you know, at UB are female, so we didn't distinguish. We just looked at the overall. I mean, we do know that from other studies that boys do tend to get more corporal punishment than girls. And we also know, of course, that the mothers are responsible for usually the corporal punishment rather than the male parental figure. I have to use these words carefully, maybe.
Right.
But so that there are some gender differences between the levels of the corporal punishment given. But obviously, the most common ones would be spanking. That was very common, and then of course you get twisting. I think the other thing that was interesting is that we always say that you should never beat your child when you are very angry, or that you should, be in control, if you like, of the situation. And a lot of people reported that when they were beaten, their parents or whoever it was angry or in fact, in some cases, out of control. And you see that in the video. You probably saw it in the video last year that was circulated. Clearly, that lady was not very was focused, shall we say?
My goodness. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's get deeper into this. So mood. When we look at mood, and you'd mentioned it earlier about depression, let's talk about that. Any understanding as to why this would still be a lingering impact into your late teens and early adulthood years in your 20s? Why would that be the case?
I think that the emotional distress, and it makes it difficult for people to choose make the right decision, if you like. So they're fearful of making a decision because they're fearful of the outcome of that decision, because they know that if they make the incorrect decision, if you like, then there's a punishment that's going to be associated with it. So their ability to make decisions is impaired because they become very wary of that of the possible outcome of decisions. So that's, I think, something that's quite important for us to remember on that.
Yeah, and this is interesting. Openness. Yeah, openness is impacted as well.
Well, that's right. So this is quite interesting, because when it comes to creativity and openness, this is openness to new ideas in particular, and learning different things. Typically, the literature has shown that when it comes to creativity can be impaired by corporal punishment, but we did not find that in this study. That's one of the things that we didn't find. And so what the sort of the counter view, if you like, would be is that people seek release from their corporal punishment through creativity. Okay. And if you think about some of the great musicians or artists, they sometimes produce some of their best work when they were living, their circumstances were very stressful. Interesting. And so it can become a release for them. It's certainly not a beneficial effect from corporal punishment, but it's a coping mechanism. Right, that's probably the best way of describing it. Yes.
All right. Sensitivity to reward and punishment.
Yeah. So this is the thing where you have to, when you make a decision, when you're faced with making a decision, you basically decide whether there's a reward or punishment at the end of the day. And so these decisions become impaired because you don't know quite what to do, because you want to avoid the punishment. And this can be because the parents are giving mixed signals in terms of the punishment that they received or they've been exposed to. So what can happen, of course, and you might have seen this, is that if you're in a stressful situation and someone is watching you, we might think of this as an examination or worse, is that you're maybe more likely to make a mistake because you're stressed by the situation than if you're not being watched and the stress is less. So the errors creep in, and then you're worried about what's going to happen because you've made the errors. So this is, again, because I did something wrong, I got punished for it, I become very scared of making a decision that's going to possibly be the wrong one.
Right.
And so that becomes another concern as well. So, as I say, these are all things that, in terms of education, you're wanting people to be good at. You want them to be open to different ideas. You want them to be able to make decisions without feeling stressed or worried about what the outcome is, because that becomes a means of questioning and asking questions that maybe people haven't answered before, and so increases the whole innovation within the country. And in a previous study that we did, we demonstrated that in countries where corporal punishment was actually outlawed, those countries had higher levels of innovation than those countries where corporal punishment was not outlawed. And that's on a global scale. That's on a very sort of macro scale. So there are some big advantages to doing everything you possibly can to enhance the creativity of the population, because it has tremendous ramifications. And of course, it ultimately makes the country wealthier, because you've got the innovation space to drive the economy and create jobs and wealth.
My goodness. All right. So you also, I think you looked at the students' attitudes towards corporal punishment. What did you find there? Are they, do they find that can they justify it, or what do we see?
Well, in some cases they felt that it was justified, in other cases they didn't. But that wasn't quite so much the focus of this particular study. We were looking at the effects of the corporal punishment on how their sort of the higher functions, if you like. But of course that's interlinked with all the other elements in terms of corporal punishment, because this, as you know, all these things are interlinked. And so what in one space has an effect down the line in another space, or can be associated with it. And so This is important because it demonstrates the longevity, if you like, of this corporal punishment, which was obviously never intended to have these effects. And I think that's the key thing. Right. And in the schools as well, as you know, there's corporal punishment permitted within the Safe Schools protocol. But even in the ministry, there's a report in their 10-year plan, I think from 2009, they were wanting to train teachers to use methods that were non-physical in terms of classroom management. Because ultimately what all these studies show, if you like, that corporal punishment is a bad idea, but what is the implication of this for the country? Mm-hmm. And in countries where they have said we're going to outlaw corporal punishment, it simply doesn't work, because the people, the populace, if you like, are so ingrained with its usage, but it's very difficult to get them to follow the law. Mm-hmm. And so particularly you see this in a number of African countries where it's been outlawed. So in some African countries, it's been outlawed in school, but not in the home. Right. And so you've got one space that a child goes into where they are should be safe, and another one where they're not safe. So you've got mixed messages there. And then where it's been outlawed in its totality, the problem is that it's difficult for people to follow, because you have not given them you haven't given them the training, if you like, or the education as to how to raise their children without using corporal punishment, because that is the way you and I were brought up, probably, and that's the way you tend to repeat the way you bring up your children, the way you. So getting that shift, societal shift, is obviously going to have to be educational based. The government can only do so much in this, but it has to be something that society needs to decide that it wants to achieve. And the rationale for achieving it, from the research that we've done here and elsewhere, is that although corporal punishment may appear to be a good idea at that moment, its long-term benefits are highly questionable, and the evidence that we've got here and elsewhere is that it's clearly overall a detrimental activity. Wow. And therefore, obviously, why are we doing it?
Mm-hmm. Callers will allow you to get in just a bit, but the other study, which you weren't directly a part of, but it ties into some of the stuff you've mentioned, right? There's some folks who experience corporal punishment will have mood issues and anxiety, and the other study looked at anxiety and rejection or rejection sensitivity as a predictor of academic performance. So let's talk about it from that perspective. What are we seeing there?
Okay, well, overall, what the literature says sort of globally is that corporal punishment does not enhance academic performance. Mm-hmm. And in fact, I've seen some limited amount of data from the Bahamas where within some schools which do and do not use corporal punishment, even though, if you like, there's a choice, as to how you implement the recommendations, in those schools there was no difference in the BGCSE results from those two schools. Oh, really? So to say that if you don't use it they're going to be worse doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Interesting. But overall, the studies done elsewhere show that corporal punishment does not actually contribute to people's learning. And interesting enough, when we did a literature review on corporal punishment in the Bahamas in the 1970s, I know it's a little bit old now, but in the 1970s, there were some papers that were written, and one of the I think some minister at the time might have got up and said that it was a very good thing to have corporal punishment at the school because it instilled fear into the students. And so if you think about that, you're making a school space a place of fear rather than a place of learning. Is that really what we want to achieve? But that was the very old-fashioned view of having corporal punishment.
All right, so it the bottom line, it won't improve any grades. We won't get any better, won't get any worse necessarily. So again, what it for? Just to instill fear? That's the question, I guess. Let's hear from you. I know you have a lot of questions for William Fielding from the University of the Bahamas on this. Give us a call, 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259, or call us toll free, 242-300-5720. You can tweet us, you can Facebook us, you can text us, 422-4796. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, good morning, you're live on the air. We can hear you. Turn on your radio and listen to us. We can hear you live. Okay. Call us back. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. I don't think this is correct. This text says, children who grew up with corporal punishment don't kill as many people. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know. I don't
know.
Have we done any research on that?
Well, I mean, the nearest thing that you would get to sort of opening up that sort of discussion would be that people who have had bad experiences of corporal punishment, they tend to be more aggressive than people who have not had bad corporal punishment experiences at home. And therefore, aggression obviously would presumably be a component that might lead somebody to killing somebody else. So it's the people who have been, who you might argue, let me just backtrack. We do have some data on that. We can show.
With the prison study.
That's right.
Yes, and they did say that they all experienced.
That's right.
Most of them.
That's right. So in the book Violence in the Bahamas, we looked at the experiences of violence of the people in prison and those in the general population.
Right.
And the people in prison had all been, no matter what element we had different experiences of violence. They had experienced more violence than the people in the general population. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
You were on the show to talk about it a few years back. Yes, it was a while ago. But yeah. Laverne?
Did your when you did your study look at, let's say, I think you may have mentioned it, how corporal punishment may have been doled out in their homes? Let's say, was corporal punishment something that happened regardless of whatever the child may have done? That corporal punishment was always the punishment, or did it look at also who students who may have said, well, it didn't happen frequently, only in whatever they determined as extreme cases. Like that was always the absolute last resort. Did it make a difference? Did your research maybe differentiate with that?
No, we didn't ask what sort of infraction earned a particular response.
Right.
No, we have. I mean, that's a very good point. And that would be something that would be useful for us to sort of determine.
I'd be interested to see.
What you want to know what you can get away with without being beaten?
No. Just interested to see, because there are children who, if just for any reason, corporal punishment, and then there are children that I know who it had to, it's maybe comes about after there's a serious infraction, or this is like the last resort because whatever's happening. So I'm just curious to see how all of that, plays out even as they go into adulthood. Because like you said, there are people who said to you, well, corporal punishment, I don't feel like it impacted me in a negative way.
Yeah.
I think that I've achieved, a certain level of success, and but who's to say who you would be if that wasn't a part of your upbringing at all. And likewise, you people maybe who no corporal punishment, no form of punishment, they were allowed to maybe self-correct, and maybe they are not as successful. Well, would we say it's because they didn't have any corporal punishment? So I'm just interested in, kind of the inner workings, the dynamics of all of that.
Interesting points. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi, good morning. Are you there? Call us back. Any indication as to when the corporal punishment ended for these folks? Did it stop at 12 or 15, or when you got taller than your parent? When do you decide it's time to stop hitting this child?
Well, we did actually look at the age group of the age at which the corporal punishment was administered, and there was far more corporal punishment. It was much more common in the 5 to 12 year age group,
Right.
and there was less that was administered in the 13 to 17 age group. So as a child gets older, their exposure to corporal punishment diminishes. So it's very common early on, but it's less common as the child grows up. So
Right.
as you suggest, as the child gets larger,
Right.
it might equalize the playing field.
Right. Oh boy. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Morning.
I'm a corporal punishment. Interesting. Yeah. I think as a child, I was abused as a child. I can tell you that. To be called from Paradise Island, 8 o'clock in the morning, and be told, y'all boys, be across that bed naked. I could deal with y'all. And have the bell there. 5 o'clock, you see the Malibu coming. We take off our pants and things. They lay across the bed. After the abuse across the bed, to march to the stove, to put your hands in the fire. You know, demonology is a serious thing, and women get away with it all the time. And then when you get too large, you know, they can't beat you no more. They spit in your face. You know, it's get nasty. And then when they can't do that, you know, they have a business, and what they do, they use you like a tool and abuse you. You know, life is a serious thing. But I can tell you one thing. I've been abused as a child. I made a promise as a child, like 12 years old. I cried not for pain. My cry in tears for the mere fact that, you know, I didn't have to go where my mom wanted me to go, okay? To Eleuthera. She was the manager of the resort, okay? And the bottom line is this, right? I made a promise. I promised when I grow up, if I have any children, I will never beat my children. And you know what? I got like 4 kids, and I never beat none of my kids, okay? And I'm a proud dad who don't abuse. I don't abuse in any kind of, I don't even harm people. In fact, a guy came and literally, he tried to strangle me to death. And you know what? Not even for revenge, okay? I understand this life. This life is about living, and if you don't know how to live, you surely will die.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful stuff there. Wow. We got a lot of people dealing with trauma.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it takes many shapes and it comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, if you like.
And you never forget. Right? You're still well into your middle ages and still remembering.
That's not caught.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what
abuse.
we're talking about when we talk about that. Is clear. That is.
But that's the problem, right? Who can draw the line? Where is
this
the line?
is the thing. This is the thing. Once you start, and particularly if you're angry or out of control, the hitting can become abusive, and it's and it normalizes harm and hurt for the child if it happens on a regular basis.
Yeah. Wow, this texter says, I disagree with Mr. Fielding that hitting a child with your hand is a good measure because what if the target is the face, which can hurt one's face and not the hand? I'm not understanding the question. Do you understand that?
I think what they're saying is where the child is hit. Because obviously, if you hit the child around the face, that's more serious than if you, say, hit the child on the leg or something with your hand. So this is the whole issue of corporal punishment. It's not only the if you like the implement that's used. So, for example, there's pinching and punching. There's pulling hair. This is all part of, these are all means of inflicting harm on a child. So, if you slap a child, where do you hit the child? And if you hit the child around the face, that's obviously not a good thing to do because, you might hit them in the eye and physically damage them in that respect. So again, this points to the whole sort of, if you like, complexity of it. It's not a straightforward thing of just hitting somebody because there are many forms that can take.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on there.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning to Leroy, and good morning to the gentleman.
Hi.
Morning, 52.
Yeah. I like what Leroy pointed to because it molded on me as a child. So, yeah, I could remember, well, Mom really was the disciplinarian, and so I actually could remember her beating me once. And I think, well, I got beaten twice. I think once for almost catching the bedroom of fire playing around the chemistry set, and the other was I hit my sister, but me and my sister was playing, but I had hit in the eye. It was just like we were playing, So Mom told me prepare for something when she came home from work, and I was home sleeping, and then she whopped me, and I jump up and I hold whatever she was hitting me with. But the situation Lorraine pointed to, if your studies didn't include that, it's kind of flawed because you have to look at people 60, 50 at certain ages. But for me, the thing that stayed in my brain was in grade 5 or 6. It was corporal punishment from a teacher, and then in grade 7, before I went to St. John's at S.C. McPherson, I saw they had something they called a hot party at S.C. McPherson, which was a piece of plywood built like with a handle, et cetera, and then they used to cane you, and they hit you at the same spot on your butt by your hand. And I remember those type of corporal punishment in primary school, et cetera, but they didn't. The ones at SC kind of stained me, and then the one that in primary school was a friend of mine that the teacher beat with a cedar switch, and everybody is my age know that. And I watched her, and up to this day I remember her, and I thought that she hated the guy, and I said something to her in the classroom because the guy was a friend of mine, and I was sitting next to him, and I thought, it was all over, like it wasn't just on a hand, it was back. And the switch, I know the switch are pretty painful, so these are the type of things, but as relate to parents, it's different. But the guy who called earlier, my parents were never like that. My father I remember beat me once with the police belt once, and that was for doing something that maybe I thought I deserved, but it wasn't like, and as me as a parent now, I haven't beaten my 3-year-olds yet. My 10-year-old I've disciplined her twice, and I actually apologized the last time. But as a parent, I realized you get carried away with it, so you don't get into physically abusing them at all, even verbally abusing them, because there's repercussions to it. The study that I thought that the text was kind of correct. So you shouldn't dismiss things because it's not a study. If corporal punishment, there are side effects, I would agree, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. But the thing is, if it works, then we have a generation that kills more than in the past. And you can't deny that. I don't need any study for that when I can actually see that. So if corporal punishment is being decreasing in the schools and we see the behavior now, then it points to something. So I just thought you would observe. That's an interesting observation for me. I don't know if it's visceral or what, but I just see people being more violent. I don't know, because of the impositions of television and social media and video games.
But we don't have any evidence to suggest it's decreasing in the home.
I've never played video games because I'm not intrigued by them. They have these video games that young guys stealing cars, they're in the army, shooting and jumping and shooting guns. All that is BS. Those are very socially engineered people to accept these things, man.
All right, let's get William Fewing to respond to that. Thank you so much. Do we have any evidence that it's decreasing in the home?
I don't think I've seen any data to look at that sort of longitudinal elements that he's looking at. So one of the key studies that was done on corporal punishment was done in 2011, if I remember, by Shane Brennan and her co-workers. So what we would need to do is to effectively repeat that study. I mean, what we do find is that corporal punishment, domestic violence, so on, occurs more frequently in lower income houses than higher income houses. So there are social disparities across households. But whether it's how that is changing, I wouldn't be able to answer that, I'm afraid. But it's an interesting question.
Yeah. The caller brought up verbal abuse. That wasn't a part of the study.
No, that's not. That's another.
That would be very interesting, right?
Thing. I mean, that is more common than corporal, and you see that. You see that in the official statistics of child abuse released by the government from time to time, that the verbal abuse tends to be quite high. So
people are saying some unbelievable things to their children.
That's right.
And it'll be interesting to see the impact of that.
Honestly,
although I think we know
that should be that. Yeah, I'm sure we do, but I think that would be an excellent.
Maybe your next study.
Right. And I think maybe, and this sounds crazy, but I think if you were to give them a choice between that corporal punishment and the ongoing, constant verbal abuse that they're having to manage.
Ooh, are those the only two choices? Oh
No,
my
I'm just
goodness!
saying. I'm not saying those are the only two choices. I'm just saying if you even looked at that,
Wow,
but it's
that's
the
rough.
and there are people, there are parents, there are people who will say, "Well, I do not hit my children.
Yeah.
I do not physically abuse my children in any way, shape, or form. I would never pick up a belt or whatever." And you think to yourself, okay, but then you hear the way that they talk to their children, the words that they say, and you think, my God, this is horrible.
Yeah.
You'll keep us in business for the next 10 years.
Boy.
Yes.
So, with the information you have, with the conclusions you've come to, where do we go from here? Well, what happens next?
Well, I think, as I alluded to before, it's going to take a lot of education of people. Maybe we might say that the current parents are too late. They've already hit their children, maybe. But certainly, education in the schools more. There is, as you know, the Ministry of Health has a parent program. But I think that there are still other opportunities that we can look at in terms of the way we train the teachers. That's been alluded to by the ministry itself. But the teachers need to be able to maintain classroom order without having to revert to any form of physical punishment. And so that would be a change as to the way the teachers are actually trained and prepared for the classroom. We would obviously need to make sure that people like nurses, another influential group of people who interact with all sorts of people. So those people who have got authoritative positions, if you like, and also, of course, the pastors would have a role to play in this, because, of course, there's a number of people who feel that it's ordained, if you like, that corporal punishment is required. So it would require a reset of the mindset, if you like. And what we hope is that through studies such as this that demonstrate that by hitting the child, you are in fact not achieving what you want to achieve, or you may be in the immediate term, but the long-term consequences, which obviously don't go away, far outweigh the short-term gain, if you like, that the parent might see in the particular moment. Right. And so we need to, but we can't just say stop corporal punishment until we have given people the tools to enable them to socialize their children without using corporal punishment. So, and this is why I said earlier on, in countries where they've just changed the law, it doesn't work, because you can change the law just by the strike of a pen, but you've got to change the mindset of the people, and unless people really wish to embrace this change, it's not going to happen.
Although we are seeing an increase in people being brought up on charges. You mentioned that earlier, and definitely every year we see more and more. So
that's right. I mean, what gets the newspapers and the media very excited about are the abuse cases, particularly if they occur in a school setting. That's what really seems to attract attention, and then you get the politicians weighing in, and then they say something needs to be done, and then it sort of dies away a little bit. So that is what. But those are obviously the most extreme cases. Now, clearly, they are very regrettable, and within the school system itself, I think children under the age of 5 cannot be beaten in the preschool. That's against the law. So there are spaces already in the education system where it is illegal for an instructor to or a caregiver to beat a child. So those are the ones that attract the most attention. But beyond that, there's all sorts of lower levels of abuse which aren't quite so visible. And we heard of some of those, obviously, from the callers. And they are remembered and have an impact person for the rest of their lives.
Right. We've got a lot of people asking, where can they read the study? Where can they see it? How can they find it?
They can go to the International Journal of Bahamian Studies. They Google that, just type in that. So that will take them to the web page, and they will be able to download it and read it. And there are a number of other papers on corporal punishment in earlier volumes, so not only in the 2025 edition, but in some earlier ones as well.
Right. And we'll post it on our social media as well. So later today you can find the links to the studies.
Thank you very much.
William Fielding, always a pleasure talking with you. Always great information. Thank you for being here this morning.
Not at all, my pleasure. And thank you for the reaction and all the ideas for future research.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. We're going to take a break and be back with our final few minutes of Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
At CFAL, we understand that a secure future is the greatest gift you can give your employees. That's why our tailor-made group pension solutions are designed to fit the needs of both large and small companies. With CFAL, you can provide the retirement you and your employees deserve, ensuring peace of mind and financial stability for years to come. Join the many businesses that have already entrusted CFAL to create the right pension plan for their employees, and let us help you build a brighter future for your team. Visit us at cfal.com to get started on building wealth so you can live well. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Looking for a school that's international, proudly Bahamian, and truly invested in your child's future? Bring the kids and join us at the St. Andrews International School Open House on Saturday, January 17th at 11 a.m. Meet our passionate teachers, tour our campus, and experience a vibrant, welcoming community where students are supported, challenged, and inspired to lead with confidence. Come see the St. Andrews difference for yourself. Visit standrewsbahamas.com or call 677-7800. St. Andrews International School, Ethics and Excellence.
Struggling to find your financial rhythm? Make that move to Fidelity and let us help you orchestrate your financial goals into perfect harmony with free financial coaching sessions. Make that move today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Southwest Plaza has so many stores, I've been trying to find a sensible way to list them all. There's CBS Bahamas, the Ashai Institute, BENC Snack World, Bamboo Shack Bahamas, there, the Athlete's Foot, and BTC, Games and More, John Bull Fine Threads, Alive, Bahari, Dairy Queen, 700 Wines and Spirits, Sandy's Clocks and Island Luck, Starbucks and Lowe's Pharmacy, plus Marco's Pizza and Lorraine. Southwest Plaza, what a wide array of stores. Southwest Plaza, stop by today and explore.
It is time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Chief Justice Serene Winder says that an e-probate platform is expected to be operational by the end of the first quarter. Probate is the legal process of validating a deceased person's will, providing it's genuine, and then administering their estate. An e-probate system allows for the digitalization and online processing of probate applications. The Supreme Court has undergone significant digitization over the last 2 years. The Supreme Court Electronic Filing Rules 2023 for the electronic filing of court documents and the online payment of filing fees had a start date of February 2024. Read more about Serene's comments in today's Nassau Guardian. The Legal Profession Bill, which will transform the way the Bahamas Bar Association operates via the introduction of a formal practicing certificate regime, expanded misconduct conflict mechanisms, and enhanced sanctions for unlawful practice. That bill is out for public consultation now, according to Bar Association President Khalil Parker, KC. He says it represents a watershed moment in the modernization, governance, and accountability of the legal profession. Under the bill, the Bar Association will become a legal entity rather than the unincorporated association that it is now. It's going to give the bar capacity to, among other things, the association sue and be sued, enter into legal contracts, and purchase, own, and sell assets, including real property, in its own name. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Wednesday, your market movers, Bank of the Bahamas moving 1,000 shares, closing at 625, up 19 cents. Bahamas Property Fund moving 1,000, unchanged at $12. Consolidated Water up 2 cents, closing at 739. Emir Incorporated closing at 1190. The BISX All Share Index closing at 3,148.49, up 0.87. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. Okay, so we've got a couple minutes left, and we've been giving away NIB calendars all week. Today, we've got another one to give away for you. All you have to do is answer these very, very simple trivia questions. So be the first with the correct answer, and we will do this for our texters today. So be the first person to text in with the correct answer, and you've got yourself an NIB calendar. So this question is, who is required to make NIB contributions? This is a multiple choice question. Is it A, employers only, B, employees only, or C, both employers and employees? Who's required to make NIB contributions? A, employers only, B, employees only, or C, both employers and employees? We got an answer already on our text line. Caller, texter, we got you, and you got it right. C, both. So we'll keep your number, and you can pick up. We just give your number. You can pick up your NIB calendar anytime today at the Nassau Guardian. All right, so Laverne, William Fielding, before he left, wanted me to let everyone know that the next study that UB is undertaking is going to be a hot one, and we will definitely have them back to discuss this. Guess what it is? You want to take a guess?
What?
Well,
No.
just in time for Valentine's Day. They're doing sweethearting.
Didn't they do that before?
I don't know, but maybe it's updated, and that's going to be an interesting one. So look out for that one. Look out for that one next month. Before we go, we got a couple of text messages on the topic. This is a little tough. This is some tough stuff here. This person says here, this text is going through a lot. So they're saying, what if your child is 13 but hits you or tries to push you or grab things out of your hand constantly? What if your child curses you out? Parents especially. My father beat all of us when I did bad things, and we all married with kids. But they're not criminals. But does the study look at kids these days who are given freedom to do what they want and we are full of anger, I guess they're trying to say. They become cold-blooded killers like to fight and to fight their parents for taking away their devices. That's a lot there. They go on to say parents are going through a lot these days. It's hard to keep your composure when a child is being rude verbally and physically and stressing you out, especially when you realize how ungrateful they are and you're sacrificing everything for them. After 13 kids, what now? Understanding right from wrong. After 13 kids don't seem to, okay. They should know what's right from wrong, you're saying. As a parent these days, you can't win. Talk to them bad, you're wrong. Don't beat them, you're wrong. Beat them, you're wrong. Just let them do whatever is not the answer, but that's what people who have morals want. No, not at all. As
No,
Mr. Fielding said, and as people say, there are other ways to discipline. I hear you. If you're taking away their devices, they are becoming violent. But you got another problem. Something started before that point, but you're going to need help. You're going to need to get to counseling. That child's going to need something. But the physical
And if
is
you're
not going to
taking away
work.
their devices and they're having those kinds of meltdowns, clearly there's a device addiction.
Yeah,
right?
they got a number of different addictions, something else, but
Parents,
it
you
is
know
not
what?
easy. It is not easy.
It's not easy for parents, as the texter said. Um, I'm in a way, I'm happy that my children are the age that they are adults,
Yeah.
because navigating parenting right now is difficult, and you need as many tools, because every parent wants to parent well. They don't want to know that some behavior, something that they did, negatively impacted their children, that they're carrying into adulthood. But parents need tools
Yeah.
then, and training, and they need support.
Yeah, absolutely. You
And
got to
then,
get the
Dwight,
help. Seek out the help.
yeah, I saw a post, and I know we're out of time. I just saw a post. They said, they talk about gentle parenting, but these, what it is, the children aren't gentle childrening.
Yeah. Well, they didn't get like that overnight, right? They definitely did not. And that. But yeah, seek help. You can't do it on your own. You can't. Really quickly before we go, severe weather watch in effect now until 11 a.m. Severe weather watch in effect for South Abaco, Central and South Andros, North and Central Eleuthera. As we've been telling you all morning, this cold front is moving in. It's a severe, strong cold front, and it's going to bring a lot of rain and thunderstorms and gale force winds. So we're seeing showers and locally heavy and strong thunderstorms, strong to severe at times, causing strong gusty winds, dangerous lightning, heavy downpours, possible hail, and possible waterspout or tornadic activity. So keep that in mind. Again, that's until 11 o'clock today. We might see quite a few of these throughout the day today. Laverne, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Always a pleasure.
Happy birthday again to Mr. Gardner. And I'll see you next week. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned.